story of how you and Glenn met.
So I was a Relief Society teacher, and his aunt came up to me and said, "That was a great lesson. Are you single?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And then she was like, "Oh, well, like, I have a nephew that, like, I'll give him your number." So that happened. And then I forgot about it, and it was like a week or two later, and I get this random Washington number calling me, and I answered, and he was just like talking so fast, so I had no idea. And he's like, "A date on Thursday." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh, this is Sheila's nephew," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So then we went on a date, and it was really good.
Well, so Ken and I met. My aunt is in her ward, and so a little backstory about that. I was single, no real good prospects. My sisters said, "Oh, hey, Aunt Sheila set one of your cousins up with a girl. Let's see if she's got any other girls." And so she texted her, and they went back and forth, like, "Oh, what kind of girl is he looking for?" Da, da, da. And so then a few weeks go by, I forget about it, and I get a text from Sheila saying, "Hey, there's this cute girl in our ward. You should ask her out." Gives me all her information. So I call her and ask her out on a date.
What was the date of your first date?
Ooh. I think it was September 23rd. It might have been the 21st. I can't. It was in the early 20s of September.
It was September. I can't remember the exact date right now, but we've got it figured out. It's like 20-something.
What was the date of your first kiss?
Ooh. I don't know, actually.
Again, I can't remember the exact date. It was in October, I believe.
Fill in this blank for Glenn, as if you were Glenn.
Okay.
I wish Kenna would stop.
Saying accidentally. Like, I'm serious. Like, I accidentally really want ice cream right now. He hates when I say that. He hates it.
She often says accidentally when she did something very deliberate.
When did you first know that Glenn was the one?
Oh gosh. I don't know like exactly when. It was probably after Thanksgiving sometime. But I had this dream on my mission, and then it made like no sense to me. And then after I had this same dream, and it was like, and then I was like, oh man, well, I'm getting married.
When was the moment you first knew Kenna was the one?
Let's see. Probably. It was probably after one of the times I was hanging out with her, either Saturday or Sunday night at her mom's house. I went to leave, and we were just talking about life stories, or talking about our past and life stories. And she started sharing some good details, or some details about some of her life experiences, and that just really made me fall in love with her.
Tell us your proposal story.
It was so cute. So we went to Washington for spring break, and I told him, because we talked about getting married, and I told him that he wasn't allowed to propose until he bought a fridge for his house, because that's more important. And he was like, okay. And then we left to Washington like 2 days later or something, and we went to Seattle to the beach, and we were like walking around. There was like a lighthouse, and there was like no one on the beach, and it was so perfect. And then he just kept dragging me to like different ends of the beach, and it was weird. But then all of a sudden he's just like, "I love you so much, Kenna," and then he proposed. And in my head I was thinking, you can't propose, you don't have a fridge yet. But then I was excited. And then we hugged for a little bit, and then he pointed, he's like, "Oh, that's my cousin." He took pictures of the whole thing, and it was so cute, and I loved it.
Who said "I love you" first, and how did that happen?
That was me, and we were we were cuddling, and I was really tickly with her, and so like anytime my hands would move, she'd like flinch, thinking I was gonna tickle her again, and she said, "You're making me nervous." And I said back to her, "Well, you're making me nervous too," and she's like, "Why?" And so I whispered into her ear, "I love you," and she whispered it back, and I was quite relieved. I was not nervous anymore.
What is the most embarrassing thing Glenn's done around you?
Let's see. I don't. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of something, but I'm scared it'll destroy me. I don't want to say it.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done around Kenna?
Oh, well, that's easy. So there was one time we were cuddling, and this was still early-ish on, like shortly after we were engaged, we were snuggling, and I started to doze off, and I just passed the biggest load of gas right on her, and I just... Well, that's embarrassing. Luckily that got her to laugh, but it was really embarrassing at the time. So.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've done around Glenn?
I've done a lot of embarrassing things around Glenn. I do so many embarrassing things that I don't know if I can like think of a time.
What do you think is the most embarrassing thing Ken's ever done around you?
Most embarrassing thing Ken's ever she gets super embarrassed when she, messes up cooking. We're trying to build, trying to do this cheesecake a little bit ago, and she forgot the eggs, and it just didn't go well, and so she was pretty embarrassed about that. But round 2, everything went well, and the cheesecake turned out great. So,
How many kids do you want?
I want 3 or 4 kids.
How many kids does Kenna want?
More than one.
Okay, what's Glenn's favorite movie?
He likes any of the superhero movies. A lot of them. He talks about... Is it Batman versus Superman? I don't even know. He talks about that a lot.
My favorite movie? I like Captain America, particularly Winter Soldier.
Who is better at managing money?
Benjamin Porter.
Probably me.
Who has the better future in-laws, you or Glenn?
Definitely me. My parents are gonna hate.
I think Kenna's getting some pretty good in-laws. My family's pretty great. But I'm getting really awesome in-laws too, so it's a toss-up.
What is your current favorite song?
My current favorite song? Ooh. I've just been really listening to Miley Cyrus lately, so any of them.
And what's Kenna's favorite song?
Miley Cyrus.
What was your first impression of Glenn?
My first impression of him was that he was way nice, and also that he was like really prompt, because I got home from work at like a weird time, and I told him to be to my house like 8:07, and he was there literally at 8:07, so that was really impressive to me.
What was your first impression of Kenna?
Very hipster. I thought she was pretty hipster, because she came out with her, her very hipster glasses, and she was wearing kind of hipsterish clothes, and And just the more I talked to her, she was into film photography and she loved her Polaroid. And I was like, yep, this girl is very much hipster.
What is your guys' song?
We don't have one.
Curse of Curves by Cute Is What We Aim For.
When did you have your first fight and what was it about?
Well, that's a good question. Our first fight was in July. I think our first actual fight was in... it wasn't even really a fight. It was like an argument, I guess. But it was in July over birthday plans between several people. And it was less than fun.
Our first fight, it was in January of this year, and it was about Lagoon tickets. Because I bought both of us season passes for Lagoon, and she wanted to pay me back for her half, and I wouldn't let her.
When you were 13 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Probably a teacher when I was 13.
When Kenna was 13, what did she want to be when she grew up?
Mermaid?
Who has this higher IQ, you or Glenn?
Glenn, easily.
Me?
Who cries more often?
Me.
Kenna.
If Glenn was going to be married to a celebrity, which one would he pick?
He would pick probably Emma Watson.
Taylor Swift.
What's your idea of the worst thing that could happen on your wedding day?
The worst thing that could happen on my wedding day is that something happens to my dress. That'd be terrible. Or that my family goes crazy and they just go crazy.
What do you think is the worst possible thing that could happen on your wedding day?
The worst possible thing would probably be I saw her dress before I was supposed to.
And what do you think she said is the worst possible thing that could happen on your wedding day?
I see her dress before I'm supposed to.
Who gets their way usually, you or Glenn?
Me.
Kenna.
What is your favorite thing about Glenn?
My favorite thing about Glenn is he is the nicest person ever, and he'll do like anything for me, and he's so nice, and yeah, he's a very caring person.
What do you think is Kenna's favorite thing about you?
What I think your favorite thing about me? That's... I have a house for her. No, I think... See, Kim's favorite thing about me... She likes my eyes. She had comments about my eyes, comments about my smile. I like to think I'm funny. I make her laugh. So I think she likes that.
What would you say is Glenn's favorite thing about you?
He always says that I'm a fun person and that I like to do fun things. So I'd say that that's probably his favorite thing about me. I'm adventurous. That's what he always says.
My favorite thing? She is so much fun, and she is so adventurous, and she's just so adorable, and how excited she gets about some things. So her excitement about things, her sense of adventure, just so much fun. She's so much fun to be around. She's so adventurous.